All right, it's good. So my next question: what is the intersection, or how do the cluster goals of knowledge, values, and rationality relate to social service, social justice, or social change?
Well, I think they relate directly.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess we all share the idea that, or the assumption, or perhaps belief that we don't want bad social change.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go.
Yeah.
Immediately.
Yeah.
And without giving particular examples, I think social change, whether at a micro or macro level, social service or other attempts of social change occur very often without clear thought about that. And now the list starts.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever they are, underlying values, how those values might be defended,
Mm-hmm.
how can we challenge them, and then probably at the more detailed level, even if we have clarity on the values, how those values actually translate into some sort of policy recommendations.
Mm-hmm.
So there's courses like that in the cluster, such as science and society,
Mm-hmm.
which is all about the relationship between facts and values, and how, in fact, people who differ, whether in their value assumptions or value beliefs or factual competence, how they can come together through various kinds of processes and enhance that type of consensus, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And even if consensus is not reached, how that kind of interaction of fact value at a social level happens.
Mm-hmm.
So again, I could give the party line, which is that knowledge, values, and rationality, that cluster, including the sophomore inquiry, gives students some tools for thinking critically and carefully about the proposed changes,
Mm-hmm.
and both on these what we call epistemic grounds, like knowledge-related grounds. For example, is a social change or a proposed policy measure likely to have the desired effects, and then are the facts right
Mm-hmm.
that often ground our policy changes.
Mm-hmm.
So, and once again, the values themselves. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, what kinds of goals? Goals always indicate some sort of values, what those goals are, and how do we decide collectively over those goals. So that's the simple answer, is that any form of social change must proceed with some sort of knowledge-related questions in mind,
Mm-hmm.
whether that knowledge about the right values, how to change those values, and what the facts are that bear on changing those values. Why would we want to change them,
Mm-hmm.
and so on. So, in addition to that, maybe the standard litany of learning objectives I gave, or array, some of the courses at the junior level specifically touch upon what people call social epistemology,
Mm-hmm.
that could concern itself with issues such as how do we reason together, how do we reason together with others about values, and also enhance this kind of a skeptical stance. Many of the courses, a skeptical stance towards values and positions that are held too confidently by others and ourselves. I mean, there's certain kinds of social processes, and exposing your own value beliefs have a tendency of changing if you're open to that change when you reason together.
Yeah.
I mean, deliberative democracy is one of these fancy words today for this type of collective deliberation. So that would be a sort of a fairly abstract answer to it. But once again, the courses at the junior level really, almost all of them relate directly to social practices. We have courses once again such as environmental ethics, life and death issues, that are that concern topics at the healthcare level, for example. What kind of healthcare system should we have, and end of life issues in there, and those kinds of things.
So in terms of a student thinking about where might I volunteer, it sounds like pretty much anywhere that has a social component, students would be able to see connections and make applications of the concepts and theories from knowledge, values, and rationality to whatever experience or
No,
kindergarten.
no, I believe so. So,
Mhm.
so apart from advancing philosophical discourse and,
Mhm.
and reflection of those more or less perennial issues,
Uh-huh.
if you think of, I think about it from the standpoint of what do our majors go on to do.
Mhm.
The most common professional step is to go to law school. And
Mm.
of course, law,
Mhm.
closely connected with both facts and values, and trying to make
Mhm.
sense of that combination at a principle level, or
Mhm.
hopefully. I mean, the
Mhm.
epistemology of law is obviously
Yeah.
much more complicated, but just and then nonprofit, if
Mhm.
nonprofit organizations that often deal just with this intersection.
Mhm.
Those are where many of our majors go for future for further education,
Uh-huh.
or then directly joining the workforce. So I mean, it does develop those
Mhm.
kinds of skills. So I
Mhm.
would say absolutely yes.
Yeah. And
Uh,
any agency that's doing public
Absolutely,
policy,
absolutely,
dealing with that kind of level.
absolutely.
Okay.
So. Hopefully, they don't cause too much trouble with their philosophical questions in those
Yeah.
contexts.
Cause more trouble.
Right, right.
All right. Thank you.